two women can't share one man. Hello. Welcome to Relations. It's been a little bit of a while. Hi, guys. It's been a while for me. You guys are not going to notice it, but it's been a while for me. So thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. I've been having amazing, great topics lately and a lot of great feedback. So I really appreciate you listening and taking out the time. So here I am again with another VIP guest. You know, all my guests are dope. Okay, so let me introduce you to my new one. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
I'm Ndiyom, and I know Melissa from LA.
Yes, so we met in LA through a mutual friend, and so I'm so glad to talk to you about other things. I mean, we talked before, but I'm glad to hear a little bit of your story and get to know you a little bit better.
It's a good one.
So. I know this is a good one. So today's premise is being the other woman and catching your partner with the other woman. Ooh, side chick epidemic is out here, okay, you guys? So it's very real. So, you know, these terms called the side chick, this is a popular phrase for the woman who chooses or falls into being with a man who is in a relationship or a marriage. So why would a woman or a man choose this lifestyle? How does a woman fall into this lifestyle? Furthermore, what happens when you are the main chick and finds out about the other woman? Let's talk about it. So, go ahead, Ndiyom, tell me something about your experience. So I think we should start off with the side chick part and being the side chick first. What are your thoughts and feelings? Well, no, let's start with catching the other woman. Let's start with that one.
That makes more sense.
So what were your thoughts and feelings catching your partner with the other woman?
Well, for me, it was devastating because I didn't see it coming, you know what I mean? It was, my ex-husband had been in the army, and he came home for Christmas, and then that's when I found everything out, and I was just flabbergasted, befuddled. I could not believe that he would do that. So, I mean, it was just months and months of just being really, really heartbroken about it. So...
And was he? But he was away. This was a blown on relationship, or was it
This is how I found out. His phone went off. He was sleeping. Don't go through your man's phone ever unless you want to cry. But anyway, so I picked it up and it said, "Hey, love you more, baby. Have fun with your family at Disneyland." She knew that he was married and he had, kids with his wife and all this other stuff. But they had been dating for, I guess, maybe 4 or 5 months. So,
got it.
Yeah,
okay.
It sucked.
So since you mentioned the whole going through a man's phone, do you think that us women, because we're known for doing that, right? Do you think that we decide to go through the phone to confirm something we already feel?
I do.
Right, because okay, what was the inclination that you already felt that made you even look through it?
Well, in that moment, it really wasn't an inclination. I didn't think anything was going on. Like I said, I was befuddled. It was simply just that I picked up the phone because it was going off, texting at that time. But there were times, in other relationships or even previously early in our early dating where I did that. I think there's never just, hey, out of the blue, I'm going to go through this dude's phone.
Right.
You're looking for something, and usually you're going to find it, and then you're going to be sad, so...
Right. And that the only reason why I wanted to touch on that is because I feel like us women have our feelings and our instincts. I think we're super smart. I think we're magical beings, and we're very in touch with self and earth.
Right.
And we know things. And then for some reason we want to see proof, and then ends up falling apart when we find it. And it's but we kind of already knew it to begin with. Why do we need that validation, that proof to confirm and make it real?
I think that until something's concrete, you will always feel like it's in your head. When you have that in front of your face, that information, it solidifies all the stuff that you were thinking. But then you have to choose either, am I going to be a dummy and stay with this dude, or am I going to walk? And I think so many of us choose to stay with this dude. for whatever reason. I mean, we could probably talk about that for hours.
Mm-hmm. And so that's another thing, right? This whole proof thing. Like, if you, at least for me in relationships where I felt like he was lying about something, I didn't seek to know the truth because I wasn't ready to make a decision.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, okay, Melissa, I'm not going to be an idiot and go seek for something that I'm not ready to really confront. So I'm going to just stay with that feeling until I'm ready to make a decision. Because once you know, you can't unknow.
Yeah.
Like, once you know, then you're forced to kind of really face it, right? So what do you think? Is it fair for a woman to blame the other woman? Like, what do you say when you find the proof, now you know, do you go after the woman? Do you go after your man? Like, where do you take that anger?
So for me, I think I was so angry with her. And I actually, did some really immature stuff. But now that I'm older and I see stuff for what it is, I think yes and no. It is fair if that person knew that the person they were messing around with was taken in a relationship. I think that it's wrong, but it's not as wrong as cheating on your wife or your girlfriend or whatever. It definitely is wrong, and everyone says, they're not your spouse, they're not your significant other, they don't owe you anything. But I feel like as humans, we all owe each other decency, and there's nothing decent about sleeping with another woman's man knowingly. Now, you could get caught up in their lives because usually people with side chicks are manipulative. So there is that too, but I think it's a natural human emotion. Maybe it doesn't make much sense, but I think that a lot of women feel that. Like, right. How could she step into our relationship? But I'm not saying it's her fault. I'm just saying that, like I said, we all owe each other decency, and that's not decent, I don't think.
Right. I believe in karma. So I believe that if whatever you do onto anything or anyone on this earth, you will have it in return at one point or another. So you're right. If a woman knows about the situation and gets involved, it's like, okay, so what are you getting out of it? Like, what is it? And I would love to talk to somebody who seeks people in relationships, actually.
Like, on purpose, serially?
Yeah, so I'll be transparent right now. So my mom recently passed away, as many of you know, and as you know. But she, in her older age, decided that she wanted to be involved in relationships with men who were already married. Oh. And so I remember the first time me and my mom really open with each other, like my best friend. So we talked about everything, and I would ask her, like, okay, so Mom, what will make you do this? Like, what will make you be with a man who you know is with someone else? Right. And in talking with her, she's just like, saying frivolous, really not saying what it is, but saying like, oh yeah, because, I don't want, I'm older and I don't really want a man. I don't want a man in my house. I don't really want the responsibility of a relationship. I kind of just want what it is and for him to go back to his wife. Like, I don't want him. I just want to get what I want and then, like, be done with it. And I remember just judging her. I'll admit I was judging her and really didn't understand why she would do that. And I would, like, really ridicule her about it. Like, I'm just like, Mom, like, why are you doing that? Like, if you want to be with that man, just be with him. And, like, he kind of actually at one point wanted to be with her, and she broke it off. Because he's like, no, you're not going to leave your wife for me. Like, that's not what I wanted here. That's not part of our deal. But after some time and really, really understanding my mom, I started realizing, like, older women get into this space where they just are scared. They're scared to fall into the same relationships that they had in the past. I realized my mom didn't really heal from her relationship with my dad. And she was just afraid of loving again. She was afraid to be loved again. She was afraid to be vulnerable. And so it was easier not to face those emotions by just masking it with somebody else, right? That way I don't have to take responsibility. That way I don't have to really connect. That way I could be 1 foot out. Right? If I'm 1 foot out, then I don't have to deal with it, right? And so that's only one side of someone that can make a decision like this because of an emotional lack of vulnerability. Also, I think in that case or separate cases, women are seeking to actually take somebody's man, right?
There's power in that.
Right, and then there's power in that as well, and some level of like, well, I'm better than her, and it's like, but that's also insecurity based, it's also emotional based, right? So just to shift gears a little bit, did you stay?
So that's, emotionally I stayed. He had already made the decision that, he was going to leave and he wanted to be with this other woman. And in my heart, I just felt like, first of all, I don't want a divorce. I made that decision when I got married. And the whole thing just felt wrong, and I just had no control. It was completely, it was like my life was in their hands. You see what I'm saying? And I just wanted some of that back. But I think, like every other case, it stemmed from insecurity that I had. Not that I'm not gorgeous, because, look at me. Y'all can't see me.
Y'all see her, though. I'm going to be posting all about her, so don't worry.
But it had more to do with, I based all of my worth on my ability to keep my family together. And that was taken from me, and I wanted it back. You know what I mean? Because, my ex-husband, he's handsome enough. But that's really all I can say about him. It's not like he was so amazing that I couldn't leave him. It just has to do with being insecure. Right. And that's why so many women stay when they know they deserve better. It's being afraid of life without them. It's being afraid of what people will think. They've bigged them up so much on social media, which is a huge thing. And then now you're having to admit to everyone, hey, just kidding, he sucks, he cheated on me. And it's embarrassing. Yeah. Plain and simple. I was afraid of being embarrassed. So, yes, I stayed, but I couldn't really stay. Right. In that sense.
So did he already make the decision before you, or before you found out, or was it like, oh, well, now that she found out, so now I make a decision?
So much of it I don't understand, because you can't explain something like that. Right. But I think in some ways, yes, he made the decision, and other ways, no, he didn't. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I can't explain it.
You can't, right. You can't speak for him, right? You don't know what he's going to say. So just to touch a little bit on women wanting to hold on to the lifestyle, right? The family, the family unit. I think it comes as a woman trait, or actually I shouldn't say that. Scratch that. It's a trait of humanity to manifest things, to create things based on what we want, right?
Or didn't have.
And family is a big thing, right? Because a lot of us grew up either in really traumatic households or come from broken families. And so we come and we create. We find someone, we get married, we do all the things that we think we should do to start a family, and it's picture perfect. And when that picture breaks, the heartbreak is not the actual situation, is the fact that you invested in this vision and creating this life for yourself, and then here it's now damaged and broken, and you don't have any power to fix it or to make it better.
About what you just said is what you just said. It's something that I created. It's not the situation in what it was, because he was a cheater all along. Those characteristics that he had, he didn't just sprout them out of nowhere. And I saw those red signs. And we all do, but we make excuses because we're trying to create, like you just said, this picture perfect thing that gives us all our worth, because we didn't have it,
Right. And that's what I wanted to touch on, right? Because I feel like a lot of us see these red flags, know that this is not right for us, and we get so stuck on not the person or the situation, but the image
for sure
that comes with it, that we like kind of mask away these, other things that are not realistic, right? So to just understand why the side chick thing happens, like just to dig a little bit deeper, what is it about this idea of monogamy that makes things so complicated these days? Like, why is it is monogamy realistic, right? Just to give you a little background, right? I remember my mom telling me stories of her upbringing with my grandmother and my grandfather. And my grandfather had another woman that lived down the street, and he had like a whole nother family down there, and they would go and play with them. And yeah, it was like a thing.
And they were good with it.
Well, yeah, like it was known but not known, right? It was known but not spoken about, right? And so my mom knew the people down the street, but he was married to my grandmother and they were together, but he had a whole other family down the street, but it wasn't spoken about. So I think that this thing of like the other woman, side chicks or whatever, I think this has been like an ongoing thing. I don't think this is new, which makes me question whether monogamy is realistic.
Monogamy is realistic with someone who believes in monogamy. Do you see what I'm saying? Expecting monogamy from someone who does not value monogamy, who does not value the structure of one man and one woman or one man and man. Well, you know what I mean? I don't mean like that. But you can't expect monogamy from someone who doesn't really value it. Not that they're a bad person, but we have to be honest with each other. Hey, you know, I'm not cut out for monogamy. I can't just be with one person, and give that person to make a decision. Hey, do I want to pursue this relationship? Am I okay with being non-monogamous? But when you lie about it, then there's no way to make that decision. And basically, you're just tricking somebody into being in a relationship with you.
So is it a lie if you do believe in it, but you're in a relationship and you just happen to have a different connection with someone else? It's not planned. It's not something that you...
It's accidental.
Not even accidental. It's situational, right? Because I'm in a relationship. I'm happy. This person that I'm with is a great partner and I'm in it. But then, you know, in the midst of a year, 2 years, whatever, I just happen to connect and meet someone else who I connect with differently. It's not better. It's not more special. Yeah. It's just different. And the reason why this is something that I want to like kind of brush on, but I'm still dissecting it mentally with myself, because I believe that we all have that. I think that as humanity, we're meant to connect with different people. I don't think our connections are ever ending. I think we connect with each other in other ways. And it doesn't mean that everything has to be romantic either. I just mean we are meant to come to this world to connect with different people for different reasons, to learn different parts of ourselves. And so why should that come to like a halt when you're in a relationship, right? Like, why does the connection with other people supposed to like end when you come into relationships? And that's what the way that we do monogamy kind of puts these rules around it.
But you mean like a platonic connection, or you mean
both? Because I even see people who get married and they're no longer friends, like close with their friends or with their male friends or the female friends, and it becomes like this restrictive thing when it comes to like other people when you are in a monogamous relationship.
But I feel like that stems more from insecurity than the idea of monogamy. Monogamy is whatever you make it. Now, it could be like, it's an agreement. So if I was dating someone and we had an agreement where, hey, you know, you can hang out with other guys and you can go this far, but once you've gone past this far, I consider that cheating. That's a relationship and a discussion that, you know,
you have to build. And
it's expectations. And once you break those expectations, that's when there's a problem.
Right?
See? But I think it all just depends on the relationship.
I'm starting to and we don't really have to go deep into it. I just kind of want to dissect it even myself. Like I just keep thinking about it because I'm like, everyone is kind of out here lying and deceiving and not being honest, or living double lives and like doing all these things. But I feel like it's becoming so frustrating and so like complicated because we are avoiding the fact that it's not natural to just connect with one person for your entire life. I don't think it's natural. Yeah, and it's like we're pushing away this natural thing and putting shame around connecting, that it's creating all of these other things. You know what I mean?
Of course. But even so, it's like if you have an agreement, either you choose to respect and honor that agreement, or you don't.
Or you don't. Or even have a conversation. Like if something changes
Right.
at some point, come back to your partner and say, listen,
There's this cool chick
I
at
met
work and I want to
someone.
hang out with her.
Right.
It's platonic and I'm not going to screw her, and is that okay?
Right.
And
but we're not having those communications. That's the thing.
We're not having those.
But if your man comes home and says that to you, though, what would you say?
I think in the beginning, girl, I can't. I'm so screwed up that I don't even know what I would say anymore. Because now I feel like I'm ruined for every relationship that I have. I'm looking for stuff that I didn't look for in the beginning before I got hurt so badly. I wouldn't have cared. You want to hang out with Sylvia from work? Okay, tell us what's up.
And our trauma is real. And in a lot of cases, not just with relationships, I think we're scarred with a lot of things. I think that healing is, hence why I do this.
Right.
Healing and really talking about this and releasing it is part of the story, because your story with this and this particular person doesn't have to be your story with somebody else.
For sure.
You can recreate it to be whatever it is that you want. Okay, so to shift gears a little bit. So tell me of the thoughts and feelings that made you pursue a man in a relationship.
Okay. So
we're going to switch it to the other side, okay?
So this is the part where I have to just really lay it out there and embarrass myself a little bit.
No, don't be embarrassed. A lot of people are going to be able to relate to you. Don't be embarrassed at all. It's your story.
It is. So when my ex left, he was still in Georgia where he was stationed. And then he got discharged from the Army. He moved back to LA where I'm at. And I still wasn't over the situation. But he was still with his girlfriend that he had, been with.
Okay.
And when we would meet up to see, so he could see our son, things would happen. And in my mind, I was able to justify it because that's still my husband, But at the end of the day, I was a side chick because I was the secret. She was the one he was going home to. She was the one that he was lying to. She was the one that I was lying to, even though she lied to me, and I don't like her that much. But still, I was wrong. Right. I was wrong. I can make it any way that I want to, but at the end of the day, I was putting my needs over hers, although I don't owe her anything. I wasn't being decent to her, like we said.
Was it over anger? Like, were you just angry about it and want to get back at her, or?
It was like a mix of emotions. Things. First of all, like I said, I was so caught up on this family that didn't even really exist. But in my mind, I had to work so hard to get it back. And yeah, I was angry, and yeah, I wanted to get back at her. Of course, that's natural.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I was just hurting myself. And you know what else I saw in him that was interesting was guilt. I saw the guilt, and that hurt me even more. I felt him feeling some type of way that he was hurting her, and it was hurting me. And I figured that must be how all side chicks feel. Because they develop feelings for this person. How could you not? And all the time, he's choosing her over them. And that's got to be painful. So it did let me have a little insight onto how she must have felt in the beginning. But it was a different situation. I mean, some people would say I wasn't really a side chick, but the way that I look at it, I was.
You were.
Yeah,
you were. It switched gears. Yeah.
Which is so dumb, but we do dumb stuff.
Yeah, and I think, well, one, don't be embarrassed about this. I think that this is a very common thing.
Yeah, common too.
I think that a lot of people who had a family or even had a child with someone, I think that there is a different connection. I mean, I don't know what it is to have a child with a man, but I could only imagine the connection that comes with creating a human being together. It's beyond, right? That there's no, like, you can't end that. No matter what happens, like, that connection is literally a living thing now. You brought your love into life.
Right.
And so that, I'm sure many people would say that they still have this connection with the person that they bared a child with and lived a life with.
Right.
That's not going to magically go away because, they have somebody else or you have somebody else. So don't be ashamed by it. Secondly, I guess a question more of when you turn that kind of and shifted that energy where he was now did you feel more empowered by it? Do you feel more like you were getting something out of it? Like, what was the emotion and the thoughts attached to the situation on the flip side?
It's so jumbled, the whole situation, because it's messy.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime you're in a messy situation, you're not having clear thoughts anyways. In the moment, it was empowering. Mm-hmm. Like when we were together and spending time together and blah, blah, blah. But then when I got in my car and he got in his car to go back to her, it was like, I felt like nothing. Just absolutely nothing. And just those split moments where we were together was so out of this world, empowering, and just feeling all these wonderful emotions that even though I felt really crappy afterwards, I still went back for that rush.
Yeah.
And
it's like an addiction.
It is. It's like an addiction, and it took a long time for me to realize what I was doing to myself. So.
And it was affecting you at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, it was affecting me. It was affecting my son a lot because he's just confused. Like my mommy and daddy, when I'm with them, they're affectionate with each other. But then I go to my house and he goes to his house and I don't understand. And then mommy's sad all the time about daddy and I don't get what's going on.
Right, because he's here and she's happy, but then when he leaves, she's not happy. Right. Like they know and are picking up on your cues and your emotions.
And he was young. He's still pretty young, but he was much younger.
By the way, she's the mommy of a beautiful little boy. He's so gorgeous.
He is so cute.
So right, I think so. At what point did you think about, like, where did something switch? Like, where did the light come on?
Okay, well, I think it's a God thing for me in my faith. Because the way that happened hurt so badly that I couldn't have ever imagined anything good coming from it. Basically, he had started going over to their house. And one day he was supposed to come and pick him up from school, and he completely no-showed. And that was so devastating to me and to my son. And that was like the final straw. It was just like, we're good, I'm good, we cool.
Right.
And I haven't really heard from him since then. So
wow. So like completely gone.
So I think anyone trying to get out of that situation, the very best way to is just cold turkey.
Just end it.
Yeah, and
say
I know
nothing.
It sounds crazy.
No, I agree with that. I agree that there is a point that there is no more words to say. Mm-hmm. Like there isn't really anything left to decide, but to decide, and it has to be kind of abrupt.
And like we're saying, it is an addiction. These are all chemicals, hormones, all this stuff. The feelings that these people are giving to you, you can't stop doing crack by cutting down. You know what I mean?
You can't just wean off of crack.
You can't wean off of crack. You gotta stop doing crack.
You gotta just cut it cold turkey.
And it's hard to stop doing crack.
Yeah.
I've never done crack.
But you see crackheads, they have a hard time.
Crackheads and
it's not something cute and real regular.
Right. It's hard to cut that addiction out of your life. But once you do, after a while, you feel better. Like you need it less and less every day.
Gosh, that's gonna help somebody with a lot of things right there.
Hopefully. Don't do crack, y'all.
Don't do crack. Don't do side chick movements. All of that. Okay, so can we begin to heal our lineage and evolve the way that we have relations with each other when it comes to a lot of things, like this idea of us not communicating effectively, not falling into being the other woman or being the main woman. If you have to call yourself the main woman, then that means there's another one.
Yeah, like all side chicks.
it's all right. Yeah, all side chicks at the end of the day. So how can we heal what it is that we understand relationships to be and evolve from this whole epidemic that's happening?
Well, I'm a firm believer that hurt people hurt people. I feel like you were saying about your mom, she had been hurt so badly by, I guess, your father or whoever, that the decisions she was making, she knew were selfish. She knew was hurting somebody else, but she can't make the decision to put the other person's feelings first because she's hurting.
Right.
So I feel like if you look around and see all these broken families and all this infidelity going on in marriages, it stems from pain. Everything stems from pain.
Pain, trauma.
And now I don't know how you're supposed to raise your kids without, screwing them up. I'm still, working. I'm still working through it. But I guess maybe just expose them to the healthiest relationships that you can and instill honesty in them, instill loyalty and loyalty to themselves. You have to be loyal to yourself. When you put yourself in a situation where you're constantly being hurt, like being with someone you know is cheating on you, you're not being loyal to yourself. And also teaching them to be loyal to somebody else and not create these situations. Also, how about just, if you're not in a healthy place, teaching them it's okay to be by yourself. You don't have to go around bleeding on everybody because you hurt.
That is me right there. That is my advice. Yeah. Be alone.
It's really enthralling, actually. I love it. There's lonely times, of course, but you learn the most when you're by yourself, I think. That doesn't mean go home and break up with your dude if he's good. Keep on to that, but you get what I'm saying.
Spend time with yourself. Get to know yourself. Connect with yourself. I think that we're definitely on a break of an evolution in relationships. Again, like, I think the evolution of this whole side chick epidemic is not new. I think that this has been happening for many, many generations. Now we're just a little bit more outlandish and direct with it and a little bit more disrespectful. But my grandparents were doing it, I'm sure my parents were doing it, and now it's, my opportunity to heal the things that they've been through, heal the things I've been through, my own traumas, and really try to figure out what it is that makes us feel like we can't connect with each other without being honest about it and really face it, whatever that may be. I don't know if I want to get rid of monogamy completely. I don't know if I want to redefine it. I just know that it's not working. It's not working for me. It's not working for our society. And so we just have to figure out how we're going to work together through this, because we can't continue to hurt each other in this process. It's not going to go anywhere unless we really face it. So
that's true.
Thank you for having this discussion with me. This is an important topic. I feel like this is going to probably lead to a part 2. So I'm excited to hear your thoughts. Please comment. I'm going to put a lot of information out there for this. I'm going to try to find some statistics in it as well. And I really want to hear your thoughts. So thank you for listening.
Thank you for having me.
Aw, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. So thank you, everyone, for supporting, and thank you for listening. Until next time. And now, the best part. Here are the after credits. A message from my co-host.
Hey, y'all. It's Ndiyom. So I just want to touch real quick about what you need to do when you find out you do cheating on you, or your girlfriend, or whatever, whomever you're sleeping with, right? Okay, so you have to make a decision. There's a decision you have to make. Are you going to put up with it, or are you going to put yourself first? And nobody can make it for you. You can tell your friends. They say, oh, leave him. He ain't shit. You have to decide to put yourself first, or shut up and just take the abuse. Because listen, you're only going to take as much abuse as you'll give to yourself. Now, if you're not going to put yourself first and spoil yourself and give yourself something better, then you're going to have to hush up and just take it. That's all.